Thank you, Dr. Coloma. So good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our presidential webinar on Universal Healthcare, or UHC, and the clinical practice of obstetrics and gynecology. So on behalf of the Philippine Obstetrical and Gynecological Society, I extend my heartfelt thanks to our esteemed keynote speaker, the Department of Health and the Secretary for UHC Policy and Strategy, Dr. Kenneth G. Ronquillo, for graciously accepting our invitation. Your insights on UHC and its implications for our profession are invaluable. As the full implementation of the UHC law approaches, it is crucial that we prepare our members for the significant change. I am confident that everyone here shares my enthusiasm for this lecture and the valuable knowledge we will gain. I also express appreciation to the POGS Execom for joining me in organizing this activity, and to the members of the Ad Hoc Committee on UHC, chaired by the esteemed 2006 POGS President, Dr. Susan Pelea Nagtalon, for accepting the task of assisting the Board of Trustees in fulfilling our society's vision mission in this crucial area. So look forward to an enriching and engaging session this afternoon. So thank you so much for your attention. Back to you, Dr. Coloma.
We shall now have the opening message by Dr. Susan Pelea Nagtalon, the Chair of the Ad Hoc Committee on Universal Healthcare.
Thank you very much, Dr. Coloma. Good afternoon, everyone. And pagpupugay kay POGS President Hobson and of course the Board of as an organization.
I'm sorry about that. So thank you very much, Dr. Louie, for the opportunity to be part of this endeavor. I'd like to say good afternoon, of course, to our POGS President, Mila Hocson, and the Board of Trustees, our distinguished speaker from the Department of Health, Undersecretary Dr. Kenneth Ronquillo, POGS Regional Directors, members of the Ad Hoc Committee on UHC, and of course, our colleagues and friends. Allow me to thank the leadership for making UHC a priority. As an organization focused on training and certifying specialists in obstetrics and gynecology and rendering community service, it is but time for us to acquaint ourselves of what UHC truly means and how we should prepare to navigate and work to make it a success, given that authentic service is the core of our profession. Of course, there are many questions and concerns that have been raised. It is opportune time for us to start the conversation, get as much inputs so that we can focus all efforts to realize predetermined goals. At this point, let me introduce the members of the Ad Hoc Committee on UHC. First, we have Dr. Maria Carmen Quevedo. Dr. Quevedo was POGS President in 2014 and currently Chair of the Ad Hoc Committee on Patient Blood Management. Next, we have Dr. Cristia Padolina. She was POGS President 2020 and currently member of the Philippine Board of Obstetrics and Gynecology. She is administrator of the Navotas City Hospital, treasurer of the Asia-Oceania Federation of Obstetrics and Gynecology Executive Council, and for the Academe, a faculty of the UERM Memorial Medical Center, Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology. And then we have Maria Virginia Jean Abalos. Dr. Abalos is Chief of Hospital of Chonghua in Cebu. She is the chair of the POGS Committee on Patient Safety and also a member of the Board of Trustees. Dr. Abalos is also faculty of the Cebu Institute of Medicine, Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology. Then we have Dr. Ryan Capitulo. Ryan is Chief of Clinics of the Justice Abad Santos General Hospital. He is the treasurer of the Philippine Board of Obstetrics and the Philippine OBGYN Society Board of Trustees. I'm sorry for that, Ryan. And faculty and active consultant of the UERM Memorial Medical Center and College of Medicine. Next in the list is Dr. Maria Socorro Bernardino. She is the current PRO, of the POGS Board of Trustees, the head division of perinatology and section of pediatric and adolescent gynecology of the Philippine Children's Medical Center. Dr. Bernardino is also head of the Gender and Development Committee of the Rizal Medical Center. For the academe, she is assistant professor at the FEU, Nicanor Reyes Memorial Foundation College of Medicine, the clinical faculty of the St. Luke's Medical Center College of Medicine, and New Era School of Medicine. Next in the list is Dr. Mario Philip Festin. Dr. Festin, are you with us? He is founding director of the Institute of Reproductive Health, National Institute of Health of UP Manila, and the former coordinator and medical officer at the World Health Organization Department of Health and Research in Geneva, the post of which he held for 10.5 years. And then we have Dr. Diosdado Ochi Mariano. Dr. Mariano is Assistant Hospital Director of Gat Andres Bonifacio Medical Center and the country representative and committee chair of the Federation of Asia-Oceania Perinatal Societies, past president of the Perinatal Association of the Philippines. And then we have Dr. Noel Raimundo. Noel is chair of the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology at Our Lady of Fatima University College of Medicine. And then we have Maria Cecilia Hilbuela Vicencio. Cecil is administrative officer at the Medical City Institute for Women's Health and a member of the TMC Executive Committee. She is clinical professor at the Ateneo School of Medicine and Public Health. And last but not the least, we have Mary Jocelyn Yu Laigo. Josie is faculty at the UST, Faculty of Medicine and Surgery, and active medical staff of the UST Hospital. Josie was also past chair of the CREED in 2023. So there you are, colleagues and friends, the working group of the POGS Ad Hoc Committee on UHC. As we listen intently to the presentation that shall follow, I encourage everyone to write your questions, or if there's any areas that you want to be clarified, please share them in the chat box. Thank you very much, and let's have all a fruitful afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is my honor to introduce our esteemed speaker this afternoon. Dr. Kenneth G. Ronquillo is one of the undersecretaries for Universal Healthcare Policy and Strategy Cluster. Undersecretary Ronquillo honed his executive and technical expertise from his many trainings on public health and health human resource development management in various prestigious institutions, both local and abroad. He was granted a fellowship at the University of Brussels, where he obtained a certificate in international health. He also obtained from the same university his master's degree in public health methodology. He has a diploma in human resource development from the Ateneo de Manila University, a certificate on human resource management at the Curtin School of Business, Curtin University of Technology in Australia, and has attended a specialized course in human resource planning at the University of Keele, Staffordshire, England. At present, USEC Ronquillo is one of the champions of universal healthcare in the country. He was involved in the formulation of the implementing rules and regulations of the Universal Healthcare Act, was one of the primary authors of Universal Healthcare in the Philippines from policy to practice, and provides principal oversight and functions in the establishment and management of UHC systems in the country through his role in the Department of Health. I was blessed to have been given a scholarship by the Department of Health to take up Master in Public Management at the Ateneo School of Government, and USEC Ronquillo was one of my teachers, and I really learned a lot from him about universal healthcare and most especially human resource for health. He also guided me in making my required paper or governance innovation report. He was my teacher in paper writing and one of my panelists in my defense. It is my honor indeed to introduce to you my colleagues and friends at the Philippine Obstetrical and Gynecological Society, the Undersecretary of the Department of Health, Dr. Kenneth G. Ronquillo.
Thank you very much, Ryan, Dr. Ryan. Good afternoon, Dr. Milagros Hoson, President of POGS, also to all the officers and members. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak and to inform you of the Universal Health Act. More than that, I crafted my talk and entitled it Collaboration with the Philippine Obstetrics and Gynecological Society and the Implementation of UHC, providing you highlights of UHC, but more than that, how we should be working together. Because I believe, and think Ryan talked about it, I'm an HRH specialist, so I believe that without any HRH, without POGS, there will be no UHC. So if you may, I'll just allow me to put off my camera during the presentation so that I can increase my bandwidth. So can we have the next slide, please? I'd like to start my talk on informing the body of the DOH strategic focus. We have 8 priority outcomes as shown in the screen. Number 3 of these is maternal health. So meaning that if we improve and meet the targets of these 8 priority health outcomes, including maternal health, then we should be moving towards the full realization of universal health care. Well, the Philippine Obstetrics and Gynecological Society is one of the DOH's most critical partners in achieving these health outcomes, especially outcome Number 3, and with your expertise in maternal health, we should be able to decrease maternal deaths to less than 111 per 100,000 live births by 2028 from the current state of 154 per 100,000 live births. Well, the framework that supports us to achieve this goal is the Universal Health Care Act, which was enacted in February 20, 2019, 8 months after we were able to have the implementing rules and regulations signed by then Secretary Duque. Under the law, the following were identified as key to the progressive realization of universal health care. First, taking on universal health care as a systemic approach. Second, we should be able to delineate and clear roles of stakeholders like POGs. And number 3, to provide equitable, quality, and affordable health care with protection against financial risk. The Universal Healthcare Act paved the way for the Philippines to embark on major health reforms under the leadership of the Department of Health, as well as the Philippine Health Insurance Corporation, or PhilHealth. Well, I just like to make it clear that UHC is not a program. It is, in fact, an aspiration, a way of delivering health care in the country. In particular, the primary healthcare approach underpins the attainment of universal health care. Looking at the key features, first is that under universal healthcare, health systems are organized into healthcare provider networks. These are composed of primary, secondary, as well as tertiary levels of care, where primary care facilities serves as the navigator of health services within the network. Second, the classification of health services into 2 major groups of healthcare packages: the population-based and the individual-based health services. And third, health financing mechanisms are streamlined and funds are pooled so that we can leverage tax-based and premium finance national health insurance. These pooled funds are managed as what we call the Special Health Fund by province and cities into what we also call the citywide or the province-wide health systems. PhilHealth will transition from what we have now, a reimbursement model, if we call it, to a prospective payment model, providing fixed upfront budgets to healthcare providers for specific periods. Well, since 2021, the DOH has been providing technical assistance to local government units, both provinces and highly urbanized cities, who endeavor to integrate their local health systems, and we call these as UHC integration sites. The latest data shows that there are currently 95 integration sites, 70 provinces, and 21 highly urbanized cities that are currently implementing UHC reforms. PhilHealth has likewise engaged selected integration sites, which we call the sandbox sites or experiment sites, to test network contracting reforms, hoping that by 2026, we expect to have our first evaluation of these initial UHC implementation efforts. The progress towards the realization of universal healthcare is significant to you, to POGs, as it informs your practice adaptations, prepares you for the changes, and allows you to identify the opportunities these changes will provide. Now, how will the UHC Act affect specialty clinical practice. Well, asan ba lahat yung mga POGS members? This is what we gathered from your society. As you can see, the overwhelming majority of the members are concentrated in the National Capital Region. Region 4 follows as a distant second with Central Luzon and Central Visayas, also having significant numbers. But in contrast, regions such as Bicol, Eastern Visayas, Zamboanga Peninsula are notably underserved. I also noticed that with the information given to us by POGS, we do not have numbers from CAR, from SOCSARGEN, from BARM, from Caraga, but I am sure there are obstetricians and gynecologists in these areas. To complete the picture, it would also be well appreciated by the Department of Health to map out the 88 OB-GYN teaching and training hospitals throughout the country, as well as the 86 OB-GYN in-service health institutions. The current distribution of POGS members poses significant challenges to the health system, particularly in achieving equitable access to maternal and reproductive health services. This distribution pattern may result in healthcare access gaps, wherein rural and underserved regions experience a shortage of specialized care, leading to gaps in access to quality obstetric and gynecological services and contributing to disparities in health outcomes. Addressing the distribution challenges of healthcare providers is one of the key objectives of the Universal Healthcare Act. Well, this slide is a representation where specialist is in the healthcare provider network. Generally, there are 3 points of entry for the specialist in the network. One is to get accredited as a primary care provider. The second one is to practice in hospitals, so level 1, level 2, or level 3 hospitals within a network, and to be at the receiving end from the primary care navigator, providing general and comprehensive OB-GYN services. The third one is to be part of an apex or end referral hospital providing very highly specialized OB-GYN specialty services. Or a fourth one is an option to opt out entirely from participating in the network, which will preclude the specialist from partaking of the benefits of an integrated and comprehensive system of health facilities and providers. As per the UHCIRR, PhilHealth will finance individual-based services through capitation and case rate payments. But for contracted networks and apex hospitals, payment will be through performance-driven, close-end prospective payments based on diagnostic-related groupings or DRGs and validated costing methodologies. The specialist, however, can also choose not to be included in a network. That was the fourth option that I provided you, and to be paid out of pocket by the patient or through a private insurance. For the healthcare provider network, we have included, as you see on the screen, post-residency deployment program, which deploys residents from select specializations who graduated from DOH teaching and training hospitals to priority level 1 and level 2 hospitals for a period of 1 year, but also in BUCAS centers, which DOH is prioritizing now. So BUCAS centers, I will be describing in a little bit. In addition, we have the Specialista para sa Bayan program, which will deploy board-certified specialists to priority level 1 and level 2 hospitals for 2 years, again, also including BUCAS centers. Guided by our collective desire to make primary care services available and accessible in our health facilities, the DOH is set up a network of 28 bagong urgent care and ambulatory service. So that is BUCAS, bagong urgent care and ambulatory service centers by 2028, with the intention of addressing the primary care needs of the 28 million poorest Filipinos. The bagong urgent care and ambulatory service, or BUCAS centers, aims to bridge gaps in the healthcare pathway. It will help decongest hospitals. It will reduce wait times, enhance inpatient care quality. They will strengthen primary care services offered by public health centers and private clinics, provide a comprehensive range of preventive, diagnostic, and curative services, and ensure efficient patient navigation and referrals. Additionally, these BUCAS centers will be modern, well-equipped facilities that serve as a model for primary care delivery, expanding work opportunities for healthcare professionals and specialists. Since the inauguration of the first BUCAS Center in Santo Tomas, Pampanga in March 6, 2024, provinces and regions across the country have followed suit. As of June 3, 2024, the Office of the Secretary has received 79 proposals for new BUCAS centers and already has 16 operational and 5 more to be set and to be inaugurated soon. So in the list, in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, and you see them in the screen, these are the BUCAS centers that we have currently. Well, this also ties neatly with our program called Purok Kalusugan. So Purok Kalusugan is an initiative that will translate health interventions into grassroots, health actions into smaller community governance structures such as the Purok. We know that while the Purok is an informal division within a barangay and is not officially considered as a government unit, most often a Purok serves as a unit for delivering services and also monitoring the implementation of health services within a barangay. The DOH believes that we can only achieve our health outcomes if these health interventions and services are translated in communities and families, making health a felt reality for the general public. The establishment of Purok Kalusugan, as well as bagong urgent care and ambulatory service centers, and their integration into a healthcare provider network will significantly impact the practice of OBGYNs by improving patient access to specialized care through better resource allocation and streamlined referrals. Purok Kalusugan will enhance community-level health interventions. It will ensure early detection and management of obstetric and gynecological conditions. BUCAS centers will decongest hospitals. It will allow OBGYNs to focus on complex cases while ensuring timely care for ambulatory sensitive conditions. Integration into the healthcare provider networks will facilitate multidisciplinary collaboration and comprehensive care, ultimately improving patient outcomes and operational efficiency for OBGYN practitioners. Having described the structure of the HCPN, let us now consider how this arrangement will impact your practice as a specialist and also how it will influence and aspire obstetrics and gynecologists into practice. The integration into healthcare provider networks will improve the number of patients for OB gynecologists by facilitating coordinated referrals and expanding service reach. This integration ensures that OBGYNs are more accessible to patients across various care levels, including underserved and remote areas, thereby increasing your patient base. This also enables comprehensive patient management, a framework that allows OBGYNs to work within a coordinated system where primary, secondary, tertiary care are integrated, leading to better patient outcomes through seamless referrals as well as follow-ups. Also within the network, there are enhanced opportunities for multidisciplinary collaboration within other healthcare specialists, leading to more holistic and comprehensive patient care. Being part of the network also enhances specialist access to medical specialized equipment and facilities and support services through improved resource allocation, ensuring they can provide high quality care with the necessary tools as well as necessary infrastructure. The network is also envisioned to be operationally efficient as streamlined administrative processes and support from the network can reduce the burden of non-clinical tasks, allowing OBGYNs to focus more on patient care. And furthermore, the UHC Act envisions a shift to a global payment model where providers receive a fixed, front-loaded budget to cover a specified period's healthcare services. This approach promotes financial stability by enhancing predictability of income flow and reducing the administrative burden of billing multiple services. The organization of healthcare provider network significantly impacts the training of aspiring specialists in OB and gynae. Excuse me. HCPNs and additional specialty care centers provide residents with exposure to a broader range of cases and medical conditions, giving them an opportunity to enhance their clinical skills and knowledge. They will also have more experienced specialists available for mentorship or coaching, providing them guidance, providing them feedback, as well as strong support to the residents. Under the HCPN, residents have the opportunity to work closely with specialists from various disciplines, fostering a collaborative approach to patient care and multidisciplinary learning. HCPNs likewise allow residents to understand and participate in integrated care models, preparing them for future roles in coordinated healthcare systems. Being part of a larger network of specialty care centers provides residents with valuable networking opportunities, helping in career development and future job placements. Well, specialty societies like the Philippine Obstetrics and Gynecological Society play a critical role in, if I may say, one, advocating for policies that support the needs of specialists within the UHC framework. Second one, setting and maintaining high standards of specialty care and training. Third one, providing ongoing education and training to ensure that specialists are well prepared to meet the UHC goals. And the fourth one, conducting research to inform best practices and policy development. So at this juncture, the DH would like to extend this to the medical specialists that you are part of nation building. You act as catalysts in health sector development in providing specialty care. Lastly, we're all collaborators and partners in making UHC a reality in the Philippines. Everyone has a role to play, and we should play it well. That is our personal call and contribution to make this country great. Dahil, and as we always say, dahil sa bagong Pilipinas, bawat buhay mahalaga. So maraming salamat po and thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Yusek Ronquillo, for that very enlightening and eye-opening lecture. And I would like to inform everyone that the moderators for the open forum will be yours truly, Dr. Ryan Capitulo, and Dr. Maria Socorro or Ma'am Sox Bernardino.
Yes, good afternoon.
Ma'am Sox, the initial questions I have taken some screenshots so we can ask them to Yusek Ronquillo. Sir, yung first question po. You mentioned that DOH has been giving technical assistance to LGUs. Tama po, no? So they can set up their own healthcare provider networks. I'm part of the LGU, the City of Manila, so I'm quite aware of that. My question po is, do you have plans to give technical assistance to private hospitals and private facilities so that these private institutions can also organize themselves into a private healthcare provider network?
Yes, correct. We have been providing technical assistance to government. This is a purely government healthcare provider network. There are existing private care provider networks. There are existing, but the private healthcare provider networks either provides only primary care services. There are private provider networks that provide tertiary care. So these are a team of hospitals altogether. We have yet to have a public-private mix. So at this point in time, we are exploring meetings with the private sector. We're looking into the mechanisms how we can partner all together so that in the future, when we talk of a fully realized UHC, it's both the public and private sector. Unfortunately now, as we speak, we have a purely public care provider network and a private provider network.
Opo. Kasi sir, when we did a survey of our members in POGS, 95% of us meron pong private practice.
Yes.
95%. And then sir, 53% of us, we only have purely private practice. So yung 53% po na members ng POGS na purely private, sila yung medyo at alos, sila po yung medyo hindi po nila alam kung how they will be able to integrate themselves into the healthcare provider network and be part of UHC.
Okay, I can just call you Ryan, ano? Anyway,
Opo, sir.
din naman kita. But you know, yung inaayos natin ngayon yung part of what we're fixing now are the contracting mechanisms. So ang ibig nating sabihin dito is that kung ako yung private OB gynecologist, I can contract out or I can be contracted out in a healthcare provider network. Kukunin nila ako kasi ang tinitingnan natin dito, when you come out with a healthcare provider network, you talk of facilities, you talk of services, equipment. Of course, the most important one, of course, is human resources. And if we talk of a provider network, from primary to tertiary care services. And lahat tayo, all, not only for OB-GYN, but for all other health workers, they can become part of a network. Ngayon, ang tinitingnan natin is that, ano ba yung mechanisms for them to be contracted out? Diba? In the same manner na kung obstetrician gynecologist ka, tapos meron kang subspecialization like ultrasound, diba? Yung healthcare provider network, pwede ka nilang i-contract out para yung services mo ay be part of the network. So, ganun siya. In fact, may mga nakikita na tayong experiences in some of the provinces, mga hospitals, na they contract out OB-GYN twice a week, thrice a week, para lang makabuo sila ng kanilang network. And this is what we see in the integration sites that we're looking at this point in time.
So sa ngayon po sir, wala pa naman pong definite kasi na nasa-set up for the private side. Ano po? Ang medyo definite, yung sa public po kasi medyo na-organize na talaga.
Hindi ko masabing walang nasi-set up sa private kasi merong mga private facilities na set up na siya as a provider network. Yung Ayala Group of Hospitals, for example, yung Mary Grace network of primary care services, these are actually
Private.
private, purely
Opo.
private. Ang tinitignan natin dito, kailan tayo magkakaroon ng public-private mix?
Yes.
That's
Kasi
what
sir, meron,
we want to achieve in the future.
Yusek, meron po kasing, marami po kasing mga OBs na may private clinics. And
Yes,
the OBs, they have private lying-ins. Para
yes.
yung karamihan po doon, hindi pa po sila na-integrate into a private or mix nga po na healthcare provider network. That's why they're very anxious about kung paano po sila, ano pong mangyayari doon sa mga private facilities nila eh.
Well, fortunately or unfortunately, nagkaroon tayo ng COVID. So
Opo.
yung implementation of UHC medyo na-stall ng konti during COVID time.
Yes, sir.
Pero kung nagtuloy-tuloy sana yan, maybe at this point in time, we have had models already of integration, of seeing to it that we engage and we have contracted out facilities already to become part of a healthcare provider network. But
Yes, sir.
at this point in time, nabanggit ko nga kanina yung timeline natin. At this point in time, yung PhilHealth, nasa sandbox sites pa sila. So they're experimenting in selected integration sites. Hopefully that we come up with models by 2026. 2026 is the timeline that we will be evaluated by Congress.
Yes,
To
sir.
show them the models that we have become. And hopefully within these models, may makikita tayo na pwedeng ma-implement throughout the country. And
Yes,
that's where we can integrate the things that we're speaking about now.
Thank you po.
Thank you, Dr. Ronquillo. Yes. Thank you, Dr. Ronquillo, for that very inspiring and insightful discussion on UHC. And thank you also for answering most of our questions pertaining to our practice. As a private practitioner also engaged in the government hospital, maraming questions po sa mga OBs would be, can I become a primary care provider? Even for example, I'm a private practitioner, but then can I still see private patients in my clinic or in my lying-in or in my hospital?
Well, dito pumapasok yung delineation and clarity of roles naman. What would we want to be? Would we want to be a primary care provider providing preventive, promotive, and diagnostic care? Perhaps in health centers or even in a buka center as we described, specialized primary care services. Or do we want to be part of the Apex Hospital providing highly specialized care? Or do we want to be in a how do you call this level 2 or level 3 hospital that will provide a general and comprehensive OB/GYN care? So let's choose our roles. Kasi hindi naman po pwede na ikaw na yung magtitingin sa patient at the primary care level, tapos dadalhin mo pa siya sa hospital para operahan, tapos kung may complication, dadalhin mo pa siya sa highly specialized, because ang kwan din naman yung PhilHealth, inaayos din niya yung mga benefit packages for all of these. So what I'm trying to say is that yes, we're all obstetrics, gynecologists, but we also have our roles to play, either at the primary, secondary, and tertiary care level.
Thank you po.
Thank you po.
Yusek,
yes.
Go ahead, Ma'am Sox. Sige po.
Sorry. There's a question from our president, Dr. Mila Hocson. Would patients of OBGYNs who choose to opt out still be able to avail of PhilHealth hospital benefits?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Meron pa yan. Oo. Kasi kung titignan nyo ho yung dinescribe namin kanina na healthcare provider network, yung Apex Hospital is outside of the healthcare provider network. That's the end referral hospitals. So hindi sila kasama in the networks. Ang ibig sabihin niyan, anything that's highly specialized goes to an Apex hospital. And of course, diba, meron naman talagang mayayaman tayong mga patients na will not need PhilHealth siguro. Gusto nila magbayad directly. And pwede naman yun.
Yusek, we want to, ang isa rin pong important na gustong maklarify ng mga OBGYN is how private practitioners, for example, will be paid. We know po that in the public, in the government healthcare provider network, syempre ang payment po niyan through PhilHealth. Di po ba sa outpatient, yung consulta package, and then yung mga different case rates na po mag-a-apply pag na-admit. This is for public healthcare provider networks. For private healthcare provider networks, may makukuha pa rin po lahat ng PhilHealth na yon, di po ba? And then, papasok po ba doon yung mga HMOs pa and out-of-pocket payments kung private yung healthcare provider network?
Well, in the context of the UHC, we are also looking at who the payers are, di ba? So, tinitingnan natin sino ba yung first peso natin. First peso may be PhilHealth. First peso may be the HMO. Second peso may be yung ating medical assistance for indigent patients. Third peso may be the out-of-pocket. So tinitignan natin lahat yung possible payments to maximize also not only payments for services rendered, but to see to it that we also help the patients look at their available resources. Kung yung pasyente pala, meron siyang PhilHealth, meron siyang HMO, kaya niya pang magbayad, lahat naman yan magagamit natin as part of yung payment mechanisms. But ngayon, ang tinitignan natin is how to package this all together so that when we talk of funding schemes, this is also part of an efficient funding scheme that we have.
Yusek, pwede po akong magbigay ng example para lang mas clear po sa amin. Kunyari po, we have a patient, walang comorbidities, buntis. Siyempre, pag private po yun, mag-check up lang po yun sa amin, di po ba? But in an HCPN, if we are already implementing a healthcare provider network, those who are low risk, no comorbidities na pregnant patients, pang primary care po yon. Tama po?
Yes.
Apo. So, pupunta lang po yun sa primary care provider network, sa mga primary care facilities, and they won't be referred to us anymore.
I'll stop you there.
Sige.
Ang tinitignan natin is a healthcare provider network. A healthcare provider network will provide primary, secondary, and tertiary services. So not just primary as you said, yung primary care provider network. So pag may pasyente na papasok dyan, say pumunta siya sa health center, primary care service.
Hindi po sir, private na lang. Para
sige.
Wag na pong health center. Kanya primary care facility, pupunta po
primary care facility. So ang kinakailangan lang dyan is part siya na ma-contract out ng healthcare provider network. That's one mechanism.
Yes, sir.
So private ako, private practicing gynecologist in an area, tapos na-contract out ako ng isang healthcare provider network to provide these types of services. Or the other one is ayaw kong sumali in that network. So I will be paid directly by the patient or by PhilHealth.
So the same, what we're doing now.
Yes. Pero ang kwan mo dyan is that because you're not part of a healthcare provider network, kung sino lang ang pwedeng pumunta sa inyo na gusto niya. Kasi kung may healthcare provider network, you have already this whole network of services.
Yes.
You have this equipment, you have itong may hospital ka nang pupuntahan and all that.
Sir, what if the same patient na napaanak na kasi namin siya before gusto niya po sa amin. But me, kunyari, ako po ay nasa level 3 ayaw niya nang dumaan sa primary care facility. gusto niya dumiretso po sa akin. Can the patient do that?
Under UHC, makukuha kasi sila, may enroll kasi sila in
Doon sa
a
basic
facility o in a healthcare provider network, may enroll sila doon ngayon.
Opo.
So instead of, kasi yung nakikita natin in other countries, na-enroll sila sa specific physician, di ba? Pero
Opo.
ito, ini-enroll natin sila sa isang healthcare provider network. Oo.
Opo.
So in that network, nandun rin yung mga choices niya. From a
Opo.
primary to tertiary care facility.
But if the patient will go to, kunyari na-enroll na po siya dun sa network where I am part of, pero gusto niya nang dumiretso sa akin, may out-of-pocket payment siya.
May out-of-pocket
Pero
payment
the
siya.
patient can do that.
Yes, the patient can do that, but the patient will have to pay.
Opo, kasi some of the patients, our patients naman would want to pay para
Yes.
lang po kami yung mag-alaga sa kanya, di po ba?
Yes.
So pwede naman po yun. Okay.
Pwede naman yun, but what we're saying and espousing under UHC is that we hope that there will be the same services that we provide, whether you're going in as a public or a public patient or a private patient. The same services, the same diagnostics, the same physicians, diba? So, off din ng physician ng patient na kung medyo meron siyang pera, baka nga gusto niyang pumunta kay Dr. Capitulo kaagad-agad.
Thank you pa. Ma'am Sachs.
Yes, Ryan, I'll just be entertaining questions in the chat box. Dr. Ronquillo, there's a question here. How can DOH ensure the standards of OBGYN care, and can POGS play the role of crafting quality indices?
Yes po. Part of the work that we're doing now is actually inviting specialty societies to come up with their practice guidelines para maayos yan. So, merong process yan for clinical practice guidelines at may sasubmit yan sa DOH. Kasi ang gusto rin natin, ma-standardize yung practice guidelines natin for a lot of things. Yes.
Yun po bang CPG making, magbibigay din ng funding ang DOH? Kasi ang mahal niya eh.
We can, there are fundings for researches here in the DOH.
Okay.
Ma'am Fox, tanungin lang natin yung question ni Dr. Festin ha.
Sige, go.
Yusek, ang tanong lang po ni Dr. Festin is it universal health care or universal health coverage? May difference po ba yon?
Actually ho, ang international term na ginagamit is universal health coverage. Pero kasi yung mindset nung tinitignan yung binubuo yung law dito, sabi namin kung coverage baka financing lang ang titignan. Kaya ang ginamit natin dito sa Philippines is universal healthcare, encompass everything.
Okay. A question from an OBGYN. Yes, sir. There's a question from an OBGYN with a lying-in clinic, registered with LGU, serves as a primary care doctor. If CS is needed, can she do the surgery in a private hospital as a specialist?
Yes naman po.
Oh, pwede rin.
Pwede.
So siya, dahil licensed primary care siya, tinignan niya primary care. Nung ma-diagnose niya na kailangang ma-CS, siya na rin ang
Siya na rin ang gumawa.
Kasi ang tinitignan ho natin dito is that yung lying-in facility, yan ba yung lying-in facility ng mga midwives yan, di ba? Tapos,
minaman po ng OB po.
May mga OBs din po na may lying-in.
I see.
Meron din po kasi. Sir, marami pong mga nagpo-post ng mga concerns.
Papasok na private kung ganon.
Yusek, marami pong nagpo-post in the chat box yung mga concerns kasi nila with PhilHealth payments. Di po ba alam natin na nade-delay yung mga payments? Many of our colleagues feel na hindi appropriate yung binabayad ng PhilHealth for the services we provide. Will this be corrected by the UHC Act?
Well, if you look at the provisions of the UHC Act, maraming provisions doon that refers to packages that will be developed by PhilHealth, the payments that will be developed by PhilHealth, as well as the manner by which contracting mechanisms are also made. So marami pong kailangang ayusin sa PhilHealth if we really want to realize UHT. Kaya nga yung sinasabi ko kanina ngayon, in fairness to PhilHealth, nasa sandbox sites po sila. May mga experimentation sites sila, both at the primary care level and the healthcare provider network level, hoping that they come up with very good models. And I think we see some positivity in all the things that we do. And hoping that by 2026 may iaahon natin o may papakita naman ang Department of Health at saka ang PhilHealth sa Congress na pwedeng ma-adapt throughout the country.
Opo.
Okay. May question ang ating chair of the ad hoc committee of UHC, Dr. Nagtalan. Will we develop OBGYN packages, and will the development of OBGYN packages be made with POGs?
Yes, ang alam ko kasi may mga expert groups ang PhilHealth. Oo, kasi kung PhilHealth lang, wala naman silang experts to do that. They will have to work with experts that will provide this benefit packages.
And yung POGs po, sir, napaka-active naman po ng aming PhilHealth Committee. They're really actively collaborating with PhilHealth to really improve the payment mechanism or the amount being given for the procedures.
Mm-hmm.
Apo. Sir, Yusek, tama po ba yung intindi ko na kapag pumasok po ang isang patient sa isang healthcare provider network, kunyari may private na po and public mixture, na nandun na po kami, mga POGS members, pag pumasok po, ang titingin, tama po, ay mga primary physicians. And then these primary physicians should be guided by our CPGs on when to refer to us na specialists. Di po ba?
Yes.
Now, whatever we say in our CPGs na pwede nilang i-manage on their own, iyon lang yung i-manage nila. Dapat. Okay po. And then when we say na these patients should be referred to the specialist, susundin lang naman po nila yon. Ano pa?
Yeah, because one of the goals of UHC talaga is to standardize our mechanisms for health. That's why we have to come up with these standard CPGs also.
So medyo ang mawawala lang naman po kasi doon sa mga OBGYN specialists would be those who can be delivered by primary physicians, di po ba?
Well, yes.
Mawawala sa aming income. Kasi po, yun kami pa rin naman nagpapaanak ng
ngayon. Pero ang kwan ko naman dyan, kung ayaw naman nilang pumunta sa healthcare provider network at gusto nilang dumiretso sa, magbabayad lang sila sa inyo.
Papa. Okay. Yun po kasi yung mga agam-agam ng aming mga colleagues and even myself also.
Okay, there's a question again. Yes, how can an HCPN outside of government be established or organized?
Ayun nga, yung private.
Ngayon ho, wala pang maayos na mechanism. Yan yung inaaral ho namin ngayon. That's why we're talking with the private sector. Actually, may na-organize ko kasi yung Private Sector Advisory Council that looks at mechanisms that we also want. Kasi ang dinescribe lang nila kasi is the purely private healthcare provider network. I think yung issue dyan is that how does government and private money pull together if we want to have them in a special health fund. Yun ata yung pinaka-issue ngayon. That's why we're studying that. Para maging maayos naman when we have this private-public mix of services. But currently, what we have and what we can tell you about are yung purely government or purely private.
Yusek, di po ba before the implementation of the UHC, we're very much heavy into yung SDN, Service Delivery Network.
Yes.
Ano na po ang role ng SDN sa HCPN?
Itong SDN, yan yung mga dyan nanganak yung healthcare provider network actually.
Opo.
Brian. So when we talk of SDN transitioning to healthcare provider network, we look at the continuum of services from primary to tertiary care, putting on facilities, resources, human resources na integrated sila, integrated and comprehensive altogether.
So these SDNs po will give rise to the HCPN.
Yes, oo.
Okay, okay po.
Ano naman role ng midwives po, sir, dito sa SDN?
Sa HCPN.
Sa
HCPN,
HCPN,
yes po.
well, midwives, kung anong ginagawa rin nila ngayon will be part of the network. If they are midwives in hospitals, alam naman natin limited ang midwives sa hospitals. Nasa OB departments lang sila, tsaka pediatric departments in hospitals. But if they're into the primary healthcare, putting in their working as midwives in health centers, or as a private entity putting up their yung birthing homes, yung kanilang yung lying-in or birthing homes, they can be part of contracted lying-in services din naman.
Okay. Yusek, yung Bukas Center po ba, is it exclusively government?
Well, for now, it is government. This is a new mechanism. Ang nangyari kasi dito, and ang realization ng Department of Health is that marami tayong services na hindi na ipro-provide kayo ng local governments.
Apa.
So ang nangyari, na co-congest ang ating level 3 hospitals. Whether this is a local hospital na level 3 or this is a national hospital na level 3, dumidiretso ang mga pasyente doon. So ang ginagawa natin ngayon is that to put up these Bukas centers so that we can provide primary specialized services also. So ang pag ini-imagine mo ito, kwan yan any services that does not admit patients is part of a Bukas center. Parang ganun siya. So ultrasound, magpapa-ultrasound siya, pupunta siya sa hospital. Magpapa-ECG siya, pupunta siya sa hospital. Complete na laboratory work, pupunta siya sa hospital. Pwede naman may provide ito sa Bukas Center. So it's a diagnostic facility. Perhaps in the future, yung katarata, hindi ba? Hindi naman ina-admit ang katarata ngayon. Perhaps, ewan ko, OB-GYN, DNC, RASPA, baka maging part yan ng Bukas Center kasi maging outpatient yan. Family planning services. So these types of services, mailalagay yan sa Bukas centers. Tapos yung health centers, yan yung magiging nodes natin, more on promotive, preventive care services, tapos navigators sila, i-refer nila yan sa Bukas.
Primary facility pa rin po ang Bukas. Ano po?
Yes, primary facility but provides specialized primary services.
What about yung Purok Kalusugan po? Anong connection po naman yun sa UHC?
Itong Purok Kalusugan lang, we're trying to reach people. Access naman ang tinitignan natin dito. Kasi at the Purok level, kung tinitignan natin mga profiling of families, looking at sino may buntis ba dyan sa family para may follow-up tayo. Ilan ba dyan ang mga bata? Ilan ba dyan ay may immunization na? So, preventive and promotive, usually profiling naman and mapping out of patients. Sino ba yung mga hypertensives dito? Sino ba yung mga diabetics dito? So, at the Purok level. So, most especially, if we look at Purok level, siguro ang katuwang natin dyan ay mga barangay health workers, barangay nutrition scholars, perhaps midwives. But we will teach them na these are the services that will be provided by you, and then kung ito na yung nakikita nyo, it's time to refer.
Okay.
Sige, a practical question po. Kasi may nagre-repost po ng mga questions. If, for example, you as a primary care provider saw a patient and then OBGYN ka, and then the patient required to have a cesarean section. Pwede ka ba ikaw ang mag-CS o iba talaga i-refer mo sa iba? Kasi
Yun nga po yung sinasabi ko kanina, di ba? Kasi pumasok siya into a healthcare provider network. Kung magpapasiya siya ikaw din, baka hindi na siya makaka-avail of the government services. Even if pupunta siya sa isang government facility, magbabayad na po siya.
Okay. So yun po ang limitation.
Out of pocket na po yun.
Opo. Yun ang magiging limitation po. For example, I'm a subspecialist and then mag-enroll ako as a primary care provider. Hindi ko na ma-perform yung mga roles ko as a subspecialist in the government hospital.
Oo, kasi kung subspecialist ka, nasa hospital ka talaga, di po ba?
Opo. Pero paano po kung primary care physician din siya? Pwede po ba yung i-refer niya sa sarili niya?
Ayun nga po yung sinasabi ko we all have our roles to play.
Oo.
So bakit pa ako nag-subspecialist kung pupunta rin naman pala ako sa primary care?
Opo.
So tayo naman ho, di ba, we have our roles to play. Even if we're all OB-GYN, some of us will have just a general OB-gynecology. Some of us will get some subspecialties. Some of us highly specialized. But we cannot be all of it.
Yes. Yusek, may concern lang po yung isa naming member. Sabi niya, unfair naman to make the patient choose between her OB of choice, pero hindi magagamit ang PhilHealth. Magagamit naman po ang PhilHealth even if they choose their OB of choice.
Yes. In fact, hindi nga natin i-enroll sila sa mga doctors sa facilities natin sila enroll.
Opo. I-enroll lang sa facility pero pwede siyang mag-choose to go to her OB of choice. Yeah. Magagamit pa rin po yung PhilHealth pero may cash out na siya kasi parang private patient niyo siya.
At may HMO pa rin naman siya.
HMO pa rin siya, pwede pa rin pong magamit. So, malinaw po yun. Sa isang private healthcare provider network, nag-enroll lang sila dun sa facility but they can choose to go to us. They can choose to go to us. They can still use all the benefits that we are enjoying right now. No, our patients are enjoying right now, including PhilHealth.
Correct.
Sige, regarding payment naman po, can we be enlightened as to the payment scheme for primary level care? And then will providers be paid according to the services given, or will providers be given a fixed amount according to the number of patients under his or her care?
Kung ho yan, yung payment is dependent on the benefit package provided by PhilHealth. Ba? Yan naman yung dating ginagawa. PhilHealth will just have to improve their benefit packages kasi yan yung isang concern natin. But yung sinasabi ko rin ho na yung mga patients will not be enrolled to a person. It will be enrolled to a facility. So kung ilan ang pumunta sa facility at ikaw ang na-choose niya na OB-gynecologist, so lahat yon. Kung ikaw lang yung OB-gyne sa isang healthcare provider network, ipupunta lahat yun sa'yo. Kung 10 kayo at pinili ng patient one of you, so ganun po yun.
Yusek, meron po kasi nagtatanong dito na yung UHC patients po ba are for those patients who do not want to pay? Ang tatanong ko po is, yung UHC po was designed na magkaroon ng isang system, HCPN, gaya nga po na sinabi nyo, it's way of delivering healthcare, di po ba? Hindi naman siya program. It's a way of delivering healthcare to our country. Tama naman po yung sinabi niya, if the patient doesn't want to pay, papasok po siya sa isang healthcare provider network na government, di po ba?
Yes.
At siyang babayaran doon hanggang makarating siya sa Apex.
Yes.
Kung yung Apex po na government nag-o-offer ng robotic surgery, wala rin siyang babayaran, di po ba? Wala. Pero kung ang patient po namin ay pumasok sa isang HCPN or facility na ang HCPN ay mixed public-private, doon may babayaran siya. Dahil mas maikli siguro ang pila doon. Di po ba? Mas konti ang pasyente kasi private yon. Tama po ba yon, Yusek?
Tama. Pero kahit na HCPN siya, kung dumiretso yung patient sa'yo kasi ayaw na niyang dumaan sa
primary
lower level facilities, Pwede yun, pero magbabayad na siya.
Opo, tama po. Pero makukuha pa rin ng lahat ng private na yon yung PhilHealth benefit na existing ngayon.
PhilHealth benefit, yung kung may
Opo.
HMO yung patient.
Okay pa. Malinaw po yon. Thank you po. Ma'am Sox?
Yes, may question po. If for example, I have an ultrasound center and then i-enroll ko siya as parang contract to the UHC.
Iko-contract out po kayo ng,
Yes.
kunwari iko-contract out kayo ng isang healthcare provider
Yes,
network.
opo.
Yes.
Pwede pa rin po ba ako mag-ultrasound ng private patients ko?
Oo naman po.
And that goes the
Kasi
same
hindi
din po.
siya pumasok in the network.
Opo.
Kasi kung sa network ko yun, dumaan siya sa network, tapos i-refer siya sa'yo, di ba po ba?
So,
pero meron ding dadaan directly sa'yo.
Okay. Same din po. So for example, may birthing home din naman ho ako.
Dumiretso sila sa birthing facility.
Sa birthing facility, tapos i-enroll ko po yung birthing home ko sa primary care. Magagawa ko rin po bang magpaanak ng private patients dun sa aking birthing home?
Yes, oo. Depende kasi ho yan, paano ba ho kayo mako-contract out? Kasi you are now part of a healthcare delivery network, a healthcare provider network. So it's within the text of the contract. So kung yung in a province, kunwari isang probinsya, meron isang healthcare provider network, tapos kinontract out kayo, tapos doon sa contract, all patients goes to the healthcare provider network, and all patients that will be referred to you will go through that network. So ganun po yun. Pero in a province, may isang pasyente na ayaw niyang dumaan doon, gusto niyang dimiretso sa kanyang OB-gynecologist. So dadaan siya sa'yo. So magbabayad siya.
Apa. Sir, may question po. Kung po yung, kunyari yung OBGYN is not certified by the Philippine OBGYN Society, hindi pa po namin siya diplomate or fellow, makaka-practice po ba siya sa level 3, level 2, or even Apex?
Kung titignan ho natin yung ating licensing regulations, ang level 3 at saka Apex Hospital are teaching training hospitals na yan, highly specialized hospitals. So all are accredited by their specialty societies.
Yung level 1, level 2, sir, pwede po bang mag-practice doon yung hindi POGS member?
Yung level 1, level 2, kasi ang requirement lang naman doon ay doktor. Hindi naman specialista ang requirement doon. Although kung tinitignan natin ngayon at the current setup, even our level 2 hospitals now provides specialty services. Di ba? Kahit na pumunta ka sa isang provincial hospital, may OB din sila, may pedya rin sila. So nagsisimula na silang kumukuha ng mga specialista.
And yung current situation naman po is marami naman pong OBGYN na hindi pa certified ng POGS na nagpa-practice naman. They can do their surgeries, they can do their CS. Nangyayari naman po talaga din ngayon yon.
Pero ang tinitingnan ho natin, kasi meron din, I'm not very familiar, pero ang PhilHealth ata meron din silang level of payment, di ba? Pag specialist.
Opo, meron po. It's different ang claim. Opo.
Magkaibang claims.
So there's a question regarding training naman po. Will it make a difference for our residents in training who are providing basic prenatal care and tertiary level care for OBGYN patients?
In terms of, in what context po yan? Kasi siguro, the services are the same whether,
yes,
oo. Ang konteksto lang niyan siguro is that kung didiretso siya sa'yo or kung pupunta siya into that network.
And then how will it affect residency training in government hospitals po? Pagkatapos po mag-graduate ng government hospital, will they be considered as primary care providers?
Hindi po. No.
Okay.
Oo.
Kailangan pang ma-certify, ano po? May exam po?
ngayon, ang tinitignan namin when the law was enacted, the immediate action of government was to include all physicians working in primary care level facilities as primary care physicians. And then ngayon, because we have developed yung certification, they go through the certification process already. But in the future, tinitignan ho natin yung reorientation din sa educational system natin. So darating yung panahon natin na pag MT graduate ka, primary care ka na rin, physician. But in one of the talks that we had recently, tinitignan din nila na will we also develop a specialization in primary care? Because in other countries, ganyan ata yung practice nila. So we're also studying these types of endeavors and what best will come out if we do this. The country will have to study that.
So far ngayon, kailangan po talagang mag-apply or enroll themselves kung gusto po nila maging primary care provider. Wala pong exam.
Yes, ma'am.
No? Yung nagtanong
Meron.
po.
May certifying
po.
exam.
May exam po.
May exam.
Okay.
Sir, gusto ko yung isang question ng isa nating colleague. So our private practice is safe. Para kasing natakot kami na maaapektuhan greatly ang aming private practice with the full implementation of the UHC. Tama po ba na safe ang private practice namin? It's just that we have to be part of the network, now of the HCPN. Tama, sir?
Yes, that's correct. Ang tinitignan ho kasi natin dito is sana lahat tayo will be part of universal healthcare. And the only way to fix our health system is to be involved in all levels of services, to see to it that we are reachable, we're available. But of course, we know that in reality also, there will be Filipinos that will directly go to you for their health services. So hindi yun mawawala.
Yes, sir. The vision po of the Universal Healthcare Act is for all Filipinos to be enrolled in a particular network. Tama po, sir?
Yes.
Whether kung tayo yon gusto natin sa private network. Kasi ayaw naman natin makisiksikan dun sa government network, yung private. So
or
kung
in the
tayo,
future, kung meron na tayong public-private mix, di mas maganda.
Tapos kung may private-public mix po, sir, if we have patients in the private na gusto naming i-refer pataas pero papunta na sa government kasi wala na pala siyang pera, pwede po yun kasi mix po yung network.
Kasi mix naman yung network.
Okay. So even if we are private doctors, we can refer our patients to a government facility na kasama natin sa network kasi nga gusto niya doon na mas para wala na siyang bayaran.
Lalong-lalo na kung naka-enroll naman siya sa network na yan.
Opo. Sir, yung po bang HCPN assignment will depend on the place of residence or it's our choice kung saang private kami mag-enroll?
Yan ay tinitignan ho namin. Kasi ngayon, ang tinitignan lang namin is yung geographical distribution. Pero may mga concerns din. For example, yung mga nagtatanong yung mga teachers. Teachers nagtatrabaho sila sa isang university but nakatira sila sa outside of that catchment. Saan sila pwedeng mag-enroll? So yun, in-explore din natin yun. Tapos yung isang tinitignan natin, when there are emergencies, di ba? Alangan naman na part ka ng network ng Manila tapos may emergency ka sa Davao, alangan naman na babalik ka pa sa Manila. Of course, these are nuances that we'll have to look at. At meron naman tayong kwan dyan. Meron tayong mga mechanisms for that.
Sige po. There is a question regarding primary care centers fall under LGUs, getting from the global budget. Ganito po ang magiging sistema na po. How do
yung private, yung public,
Public, yes. Primary care centers, under LGUs, they get from the global budget. So how do PhilHealth and HMO enter the network in this case?
Pag sinabi ko kasi natin na kanyan na global budget, parang kanyan prospective budget yan. So inaaral ko natin sa isang health center, tinitignan natin yung history niya 100 patients ang nakikita niya 1 month. Ito ang cases niya ang nakikita natin months. Kino-compute natin yan. At kung ang computation nakita natin na in 1 year, ang mababayaran pala sa kanya ay 1,000,000. So prospective, ibibigay na natin yung 1,000,000 sa kanya in advance. Tapos yung mga patients na pupunta sa kanya, doon na kinukuha yung gastusin niya. So unlike ngayon na yung services mo tapos i-reimburse mo sa PhilHealth, pag sa UHC, full UHC na po yan, prospective model na po tayo dyan. Also in hospitals, ganun po yung gagawin. So that's one of the advantages also of going through UHC kasi prospective na yung payments and yung budgets.
Yusek, ka-clarify ko lang po, yung primary care physician na, kasi po we have, dun po sa hospital namin na government, we have a residency training program for family medicine.
Yeah.
Residency training program na yon, if you undergo the training for 1 year, you are allowed to take the certification for primary care physician. 1 year lang of residency. Kaya lang, tama po yung sinabi dito sa comment. Kapag ang OB-GYN ay na-certify as primary care physician, titingin siya ng lahat ng primary cases. Hindi lang po prenatal check-up, di ba? Yung mga batang may sipon, batang may ubo, lahat ng IM surgery patients, kailangan po niyang tignan, di po ba? Tama po ba yan?
Yeah. Kasi yung pag-define mo natin ng primary care physician, that's yung first contact, comprehensive, continuous, di ba? So kung may pupunta na pasyente sa'yo, hindi lang naman yung mata niya, yung ilong niya titignan. Comprehensive yan. Tapos kayong first contact, kaya nga doon yung makikita yung mga iba't ibang sakit niya at doon mananavigate. Kailangan ko palang i-refer ito sa isang OB kasi may problem sa something like that. Or kailangan mai-refer ko pala ito sa ENT, something like that.
Meron pong private message lang sa akin, Yusek. Kung implemented na po ang UHC, paano daw po maiiwasan yung commissioners, yung mga primary care doctors na nagre-refer sa favorite specialist lang nila dahil may commission sila?
Well, yan, we will all be part of a network. So we will have to work within that network. So ganun po yun.
So makikita sa network din, di po ba? Kung ba't palagi niya doon pinapadala? Network naman yan. Marami namang specialist doon sa network na yon.
Saka ma-develop na natin yung mechanisms within that health network.
Opo.
By that time, nakita na natin yung mga nuances after all these experiments that we're doing now.
Ma'am Sox?
Yes, there's a question. Will the Bukas Center compete with services offered by the LGU Health Center?
Ma'am, ngayon po, yung Bukas Center is it's a national center. It's not a local, locally run center. So, it's the national government. Yung concern ho kasi dito is that under the local setup, not all services are provided. And if services are needed, it's not available. Kaya nag-put up ho kami ngayon ng mga bukas centers to see to it that we provide a level of preventive, diagnostic, and specialized primary services.
Yusek, yun po sa practice ng OBGYN, even in the practice of gynecology, for example, kami naman po yung gagawa ng mga CPGs on what the primary care physicians can manage lang po, di po ba, ng mga gynecologic cases.
Kayo po yung expert, sir.
Opo.
So,
tapos,
manggagaling sa inyo, the DOH will just have to approve so that we have a standardized CPG across the country.
And
kasi
then kami rin,
namin, iba-ibang CPGs na nag-apply sa the same illness.
And then kami rin po magsasabi kung kailan nila dapat i-refer ang gynecology cases. Ano po? So yes, they will be required, the primary care centers will be required to follow our CPGs.
Yes, correct.
Thank you po. Ma'am Sox, meron pa?
Yes, marami pa actually. Will there be a cap for the number of OBGYNs per healthcare provider network?
Wala naman ho ata. Ang tinitignan lang natin, sana may equitable distribution din ng OB-gynecologists across the
Oo nga,
country.
kasi nga ang dami sa
Kasi
mga
tignan
NCR.
natin kanina, di ba? Ang dami dito sa NCR.
Tapos, if a patient wants to be referred to an Apex hospital outside her network, will she be required to pay?
Yes. Iba na ho yun. Kasi yun din ang tinitignan natin na sana naman yung even our patients kwan din within a network para wala rin tayong mga, alam mo, yung nag-uunahan tayo sa services. That's why even now we're putting up heart centers, lung centers, kidney centers across the country. Dati-dati ho, nandito lang sa Manila. But we have Apex hospitals now that are providing these types of services.
Okay.
Okay.
Sir,
muna, right?
if you are part of of a healthcare provider network in one city, pwede ka pa rin bang maging part ng healthcare provider network in another city?
Yes, pwede yan.
Kung may energy ka talaga at lagari
kung may
ka.
energy ka talaga at maglalagari ka, oo.
Yun.
Kasi ang tinitignan din natin in a provider, healthcare provider network, sana naman all services are available. So if there's kunwari, in a region, tas lilima pala kayong OB-GYN, to make it obvious lang. Kung lilima kayo, di talagang iikot kayo sa provider networks na yan to see to it that we're able to provide the services.
Opo. Okay. Sir, kung employed daw po sa isang local RHU, edi automatic part ka na nung HCPN nung local health facility na yon, ano po? Pwede pa rin naman siyang mag-private practice.
Oo naman.
Magiging part lang siya ulit ng private HCPN.
Oo.
Okay pa, tama pa. Thank you po for the clarification. Okay. Meron pa bang questions, Ma'am Sox?
Meron pa, oo.
Apa. Ito po, isn't the omnibus guidelines the guidelines followed by the primary care providers? I'm not sure po kung ano yung omnibus guidelines, sir.
Well, maraming omnibus guidelines na ginagawa ngayon dito sa Department of Health. One for primary care, one for services like reproductive health, another for HRH. But we're studying at all existing health policies that we did in the past and see how we can come up with a compendium. Tapos aralin natin lahat ito. What's obsolete about the policy, alisin na natin. What's current, yun ang i-put up natin as one omnibus policy. So that's what we're also studying.
Okay.
There's a question here regarding documentation po. When it comes to documentation, statistics, and sorting out data, which the private and government has, meron po ba ang UHC na provide na system to record these various cases? And the POGS kasi po has a lot of documentations. Will there be no double entry?
If you look at the UHC law, ang in charge po niyan is PhilHealth. So PhilHealth is also coming up with a national registry to see to it that information, meron tayong isang repository for all information that so that walang duplication naman.
Sir, may nagtatanong po, OBGYN daw po siya sa isang level 1 government health facility. Pwede daw po ba silang mag-prenatal check-up na doon ng mga patients or maghihintay sila ng referrals from the health centers lang?
Level 1 naman yan, primary care. So pwede silang
Primary pa rin.
doon.
Pwede.
Oo.
Pwede pa. Thank you.
Okay, and there's a question here based on your statement, Yusek, regarding the delineation of roles of healthcare providers, physicians. Is it going to be covered by the establishment of a national registry of healthcare professionals? And
yes, we're also we're also working on that. In fact, tinitingnan din natin. That's why part of my presentation looked at numbers also and locations, so that even for human resources, we adhere to the requirements of the Sustainable Development Goals.
Okay.
Yusek, yung question po, how will the UHC affect the case requirements of residents in the private training institutions? I think this is the question for the Philippine Board of OBGYN. parang hindi po yata pang DOH.
If I understand it right, cases yan for residency trainings.
Opo, for certification. Kami naman po yung nagsaset noon yung Philippine Board of OBGYN.
Yeah.
Kasi po ang concern po nila, sir, kunyari, ang residency nasa level 3. So baka wala na silang makitang normal deliveries or baka wala silang makitang uncomplicated pregnancies. May requirement din po kaming ganun So how will it affect? Yun yung something that IBOG will address.
Yan po yung kagandahan ng network, di ba? Because the residents can also rotate sa level 2, level 1 hospitals because that's a whole network. So ibig sabihin yan, from primary to tertiary, that if that's the whole network, residents can rotate in fact in all of the facilities in that network. So increase in numbers of cases, increase in the type of cases to be seen, ba? Communicating with other OB-gynecologists for more content, more learning, also interdisciplinary. So yung network mo talaga lalawak talaga. Opo. Hindi lang yung resident, hindi lang siya confined sa hospital niya. Confined siya sa buong network.
Sir, what about private institutions? So for example, have a private hospital tapos may residency training. Makaka-rotate din pa kaya ito sa mga HCPN na network?
Yung sa network niya.
Yes naman po. Oo. Rotate po sila.
Sir, meron po kasing mga level 1 hospitals na nag-oopera, nag-hysterectomy, naggaganon. Magagawa pa rin po ba nila yon?
Yun po yung mako-correct natin in this network. Kasi kung may network na, iba, kung level 1 ka, ito lang pwede mong gawin. Kung level 3 ka, ito lang pwede mong gawin. So within the network, you're able to define also yung roles mo. Kaya nga delineation of roles also.
Opo. And I think ang mako-correct din po nun is if they are employing specialists in a level 1 hospital, baka pwedeng i-migrate nila yung specialist nila to a level 2 hospital. Di po ba? Within the network.
Within the network.
Para makorek yun. Kasi sa level 1, dapat walang specialists.
Correct, yes.
Iko-correct lang, pero hindi naman sa tatanggalan ng trabaho.
Hindi naman. The more the merrier, but we want to see people in proper places and the services delivered in appropriate setups.
Yun pong question dito regarding yung may need daw po bang mag-outside rotation ng residents just to fill the requirements. I think po it's a question for the Philippine Board again, not for you, Sec.
Or CRIB, yes. Then there's a question regarding transfer naman po of health facilities. Can patients transfer to health facilities outside of their city or province or of residents, even for example, meron namang services available dun sa area nila?
Well, mag-enroll po kasi sila sa isang network
So kailangan pa rin ano?
So lilipat sila ng enrollment.
Okay. So ganun ang requirement, lumipat ng enrollment. So dapat sure ka na kung saan ka magpapa-enroll at doon ka lang. At pagdasal mo maganda ang Apex Hospital ng lugar mo. Ganun po.
Network mo ng HCPN.
Network, yes.
Pero ma-ensure naman yun, di ba, sir? Kasi strict naman ng requirements para tawaging Apex Hospital ang isang institution So we're really sure na maganda yung institution na yun.
Well, that's the aspiration of universal healthcare.
Yes. Okay.
Question for us. Guidelines of the guidelines of the USP available. Okay. Yes, this is recorded naman and you can actually view this again in our Facebook Live.
Yes. Okay, sir, before we end po, you mentioned po yung call to action nyo sa POGS. What POGS can do now? 4 po yung nabanggit nyo, Yusek. Ano po? Number 1, advocating for policies that support the needs of specialists within the UHC framework. Ito po ba yung mga CPGs, for example?
Well, these are the CPGs. These are policies that has something to do with the OB-GYN specialties, reproductive health, family health. So tignan natin yan within the context of the things that we're doing.
So yan po yung number, ayan, nakalagay na po. So yung number 1 na call to na dapat gawin ng POGS and our subspecialty and affiliate societies is to make policies, make CPGs that will be accepted by the DOH para mai-implement ng lahat ng primary care facilities. And then number 2, setting and maintaining high standards for specialty care and training, which we are doing.
Yeah.
The CREED, meron po kaming Council for Residents Education Enhancement Development and the Philippine Board of OBGYN, they are already doing number 2 to maintain high standards for specialty care. So see, may kino-contribute na tayo sa UHC. And then number 3, provide ongoing education and training to ensure specialists are well prepared to meet UHC goals. Ginagawa na rin po yan, i-review na rin po ng CREED namin yung kung paano mai-integrate ang UHC principles in our residency training. And then yung conducting research to inform best practices and policy development, we are also doing that already as well. Ang tanong ko lang po, Yusek, I also believe that isa rin pong dapat gawin ng POGS is to be very involved in health promotion and education for the general population. Tama po ba?
Correct. That's what we want. Kaya nga now, and we're thankful that you invited us because we also want to correct a lot of things na not correct about UHC. What we want to say is that if we are involved in UHC, all of us, we have a lot of things to do together.
Opo. Okay. Kasi
last question na lang po ito.
Yes, Dr. Hasson.
Yes po. Should there be an MUO or Memorandum of Understanding between private and government hospitals to allow residents to rotate in government hospitals? Or is it already automatic once part of the network?
Pwede pa rin ho yan. Now, even without UHC, marami tayong mga hospitals, private, residents sa private hospitals that are rotating in government hospitals to an MOU. Once we have this public-private mix, baka nga hindi na kailangan yung MOU kasi they're all part of the network already. But we will always see na kung ang MOU is the policy instrument to see to it that we prepare OB-gynecologists to provide that quality of service, that will remain as a policy instrument.
Okay. And then another question, last na to ito. And regarding emergency, for example, naka-enroll po yung isang pasyente sa Pampanga, nagpunta po ng Parañaque. Tapos na emergency appendicite, kinangan ng appendectomy sa Parañaque. Pwede pa
So health emergencies, wala tayong magagawa dyan. Kailangan asikasuhin natin yan wherever that person is. Naka-provide naman yan po sa provisions ng UHC.
Okay.
Apa. Okay.
I guess we have covered
Thank
na.
you very much, Yusek, for being patient with all of our questions.
Salamat po, Dr. Ronquillo.
Thank you very much also. And we hope we have more engagements together so that as we go through the progressive realization of UHC, more things can be done with OB-GYN as our partner.
Opo. And just like what you said, ngayon po kasi nagko-concentrate nga po ang DOH in trying to set up the networks for public and LG and local government units, di po ba? Pero unti-unti matutukoy na rin po ng DOH yung paggawa ng network among private and hopefully may mga mix na private public. So kami po, magiging patient din kami waiting for our private HCPN to be organized as well. Kasi kami nga nagiging anxious dahil hindi pa kami masyadong na-organize. And gagaya po ng na-explain ninyo, hindi naman po talaga kami dapat mag-alala because we can still do our practice. Maiiba lang po yung part yung kung saan namin mapapractice yun in the network, for example, but we can still do it naman, but we will just be part of a network.
Correct. And as we go from day to day, there will be more things that we can think about, we can explore together. Baka nga with your society, mas mapabilis pa natin yung ating mga partnerships towards full realization of UHC.
Thank
Maraming
you po.
maraming salamat po.
Maraming salamat po.
For patiently answering the questions of our members, and I'm pretty sure marami pong na-enlighten ngayon after this webinar regarding UHC. Ang dami po sing questions at na-enlighten na po sila. Maraming salamat po.
May we ask po our President and Vice President to open their videos para lang po masama.
We'll be taking a picture po.
And
Dr. Auxilios po and Dr. Nagtalon.
Ayun. Okay. We'll just take a picture. Sige. 1, 2, 3. Sa pa. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Dr. Coloma.
At this point, the Philippine Obstetrical and Gynecological Society would like to award a certificate of appreciation to Dr. Kenneth Ronquillo, our speaker during the Ad Hoc Committee on Universal Healthcare Presidential Webinar Series number 1 on the topic UHC and clinical practice of OBGYN. We are giving this to him this 11th day of June in the year of our Lord 2024. The certificate is signed by Dr. Susan Pilea Nagtalon, Chairman of the Ad Hoc Committee on UHC, Dr. Milagros Tia Hoxon, the POGS President, and yours truly. Thank you very much, Undersecretary Ronquillo.
Thank you very much po sa inyong lahat.
So,
thank you so much, sir.
Thank you po.
We have been privileged to have been joined today by the distinguished resource speaker from the Department of Health, who shared with us vital knowledge and information that will enable us to navigate the new architecture of regulations that govern our medical practice. Our colleagues too have all manifested today that indeed we all want to continue learning. That is why we carved out 2 hours to take the opportunity to learn about universal health care so that we may avail ourselves of new benefits and opportunities. We at POGS are truly grateful to all of you. So at this point, may we call on Dr. Rowena Auxilios, the POGS Vice President, for the closing remarks.
Magandang gabi po sa
Gabi
inyo lahat. Gabi na ba? Gabi na. First off, for and on behalf of the POGS Board of Trustees, I would like to thank all of you for attending the POGS Presidential Webinar Series on Universal Health Coverage. I would like to thank Yusek Ronquillo, the Undersecretary for UHC Policy and Strategy from the Department of Health, for sharing the essential points of UHC and how it will affect our practice as obstetrician gynecologists. We just wish we had more time. Marami pa pong questions, especially about HCPN, but we hold on to the words of Yusek Ronquillo that he is looking forward to more engagements with the Philippine Obstetrical and Gynecological Society. Today's discussions, we know, have illuminated the vital intersections between UHC and our clinical responsibilities, highlighting how comprehensive health coverage can transform patient care in our field. And as we move forward, the direction set by our President, Dr. Milagros Hoxon, underscores a commitment to integrating UHC principles into everyday clinical practice. This commitment does not aim to ensure only that every patient receive the highest standard of care without financial hardship, but also emphasizes the importance of equity, accessibility, and quality in healthcare services. And one of those significant steps towards this direction is the establishment of the Ad Hoc Committee on UHC. I would like to thank our past president, Dr. Susan Pelea Nagtalon and the members of this committee for taking on the challenge of the UHC and its impact on our clinical practice. This committee will play a pivotal role in driving our efforts, focusing on the development of guidelines. We all have to be informed, advocacy, and educational initiatives that align our clinical practices with the broader goals of UHC, as what Yusek Ronquillo stated earlier. And our gratitude goes as well to our moderators, Dr. Sox Bernardino, our PRO, Dr. Ryan Capitulo, our treasurer, for expertly navigating this afternoon's discussion. Ang dami pa hong questions, nahihilo na si Dr. Sox. And of course, our MC, Dr. Louie Coloma, our board secretary. And this is not only a policy shift. I think this was made clear by our president. It is a transformative approach that aligns with our core values as healthcare providers. And together, through the dedication and the strategic initiatives of the Ad Hoc Committee on UHC, we can make significant strides towards a healthcare system that truly serves all women. Thank you for your participation and ongoing commitment to this very essential journey. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat.